Hey besties, it's Rosie. I'm just adding my flower tears to my water before we get started here. The one I'm using today is called Dragon Spits a Pearl, and it is for money and wealth to find you in surprising and miraculous ways. And I think we can all use a little bit more of that. And I feel that today's message is going to resonate with that concept, or at least show us what kind of things are standing in between us and receiving the abundance that we know that we are deserving of. So, before I started this message, I went on a morning walk. And on that walk, I picked some wildflowers, which I brought home to subsequently do a flower mancy. And they are here. The messages that I received from the flower mancy was that there was one woman in my life who was connected to spirit. She had a strong internal sense of wrong and right and consistently made good decisions regarding that. And there were 3 masculine energies in my field. One of them was upright, and even though he was an introvert, he was still very loud and proud about his allegiance to me. One was upside down or distorted, and one was on his side, but in my corner, which showed me that even though this person might support me secretly, they do so behind the scenes, and they are not confident in standing up and speaking that allegiance to anyone else for fear of repercussions. So that message might resonate for someone. Maybe that describes the situation you find yourself into. The card that I pulled when I was shuffling from my cat spirit deck is connection. And it says the spirit cats remind us that we are not alone. We are a web of connections. Our attitudes, actions, and energy ripple outward and touch people in ways seen and unseen. No single action stands alone. Each action, idea, and feeling is born out of countless influences and in turn has its own unique effect. We see this most clearly and dramatically in our innermost circle, but this also extends outward to humanity, the earth, and the universe. Our consciousness dances together, challenging, uplifting, teaching, learning, questioning, reassuring, inspiring, and loving. The picture on this card is so cute, and it actually reminds me of the flowers that I picked today. So I am going to leave that here to join us on our reading. When I was pre-shuffling this deck, I was getting a lot of messages about holding on to something from our past that is causing cracks in our foundation. I think the cards that came out were King of Pentacles, King of Cups, and on its side came out the Six of Cups. And this to me, in relation to the message that I got earlier today, speaks to the strength of our connections and the foundation that we are building upon. And Six of Swords, reversed, exactly, not moving on. This happens to me a lot, so maybe someone here can resonate with this. A lot of times I don't even realize that I'm holding on to something. And it isn't until something completely comes in and shatters the illusion that I didn't even know that I was holding that I'll realize that I was holding one. There was some small seed of hope that I was holding on to, that the work that I was doing in the absence of the people that I have left behind would be reflected in what they were doing in that separation. And it isn't until you find out that that isn't the case that you're able to kind of release yourself from the tower of this delusion that you've built, that your paths will realign in the future because they're doing the work just because you are. I'm going to take this group right here. Nine of Wands, the Judgment, Knight of Pentacles, and Two of Wands upright. I'm seeing there's someone in your energy who had an opportunity to kind of have this phoenix moment. And even though they might have been lollygagging behind you, they could have stepped into this energy of rebirth and probably fared a pretty good chance of receiving a second chance from you if they would have asked for it and really shown you that they were contrite, that they had grown, that they were willing to stand up and do the work with you, but they just keep dragging their feet. Their indecision has left them paralyzed in this energy. And here you are and your emotions kind of unable to move on because your allegiance to the love that you felt for them is greater than your pain at them not only not choosing you, but not choosing their own path of growth and ascension. Knight of Swords. I once had a dream that there were a bunch of circles flashing before my eyes. And the one that I settled on was the Knight of Swords tarot card. And my guides in the dream asked me, do you want to keep growing this way? And in the dream, I kind of got this feeling that the mode of growth that I had been undergoing with the people that I had decided to partner with in that moment were very in and out. They would rush in with a realization or a perspective shift, and they would think that it had meant that they had completely grown as a person, that they were someone else now. But that is a very immature way of looking at things, because a perspective shift or a change of heart is only one small piece of a giant puzzle towards growth and change. So just because someone might see a new perspective or have changed their mind about something, it doesn't mean that they are a changed person. It doesn't mean that they're suddenly a stable person who can do things calmly and rationally. It doesn't mean that they're a person that isn't, with their indecision, their inertia, their unwillingness to budge, and then clamoring to make a change because they perceive how far behind they are and the person they are meant to travel with is getting away from them because they had no other choice but to move forward. This kind of energy can put big cracks in your foundation. Your energy is not a revolving door. It is a door that should open and shut. The people who know the correct knock to get in the door may enter. And the people who open it, shut it, knock on the door, bang on the door, run away, come back, cry at the door, like a cat who cannot decide whether they want to be in or out, those people are not people who can provide a solid foundation for you to build on. And while you might love them and while you might wish that they were different and that this was the person that you would be able to build with, because somewhere along the way, this person showed you something that felt like promise. This person showed you something that felt like someone you could rely on, that you could lean on, that they were sturdy, that they had an internal compass that was pointing the same way yours was. But unfortunately, due to this energy of stalling and indecision, they were not able to consistently show up facing that true north like you are. I just want to say, as someone who has experienced this, it's deeply painful. It's deeply painful to feel on a soul level this deep, powerful, transcendental connection that you have with another person, and watch them consistently not choose to not only embody who they would need to nurture and honor this connection, but to nurture and honor and become and embody their truest authentic self, which would ultimately lead to their highest happiness. So this person not being able to go the path, go the distance with you, really has almost nothing to do with you. You were just a compass for them. You were a companion that they could walk alongside on that journey, because the journey is difficult and lonely. And it's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And unfortunately, this person is able to do neither of those things. They are very good at staying stuck and staying stagnant. Exactly, Eight of Swords. They are trapped in a prison of their own making. And in order for there to be any equal give and take, any reciprocity, this pattern would have to end. Because while there are distortions of this magnitude present in this person, their sense of equality, balance, give and take will never be equal, because when you are in this prison that you are perfectly capable of getting out of, all you need to do is take the blindfold off, free yourself. When you're unwilling to do that and you're waiting for other people to do that for you, you're already starting out on unequal footing. You're saying the only way that I can be okay is if you come in and make me okay. And what that does is rob you of your personhood when you find yourself in situations and relationships and dynamics like this, because you are no longer allowed to be human. You're placed on a pedestal. You are the rescuer. You are the grounding force. You are the anchor, and you are the rudder and momentum of this ship. If anything moves forward, if anything's okay, it's really up to you. And Spirit wants you to know that you deserve better than this. That was never the way it was supposed to be. They didn't purposely send you someone to stall your progress. They sent you someone that used their own free will to shirk the important healing work that their soul was urging them to do. And had they done that healing work, they would have been able to keep in stride with you on this journey. But I am very proud of you, and I'm sure Spirit is too, for not letting this person slow you down. The fact that we're even having this reading shows that you have moved ahead, that you are further ahead on the timeline. There might be some part of you that is still looking over your shoulder in the past and wondering, will they ever catch up? Do I have to hold a funeral for this person? Or is there some juncture down the road where our paths will intertwine again and I don't have to grieve the loss of this person? And I don't think that there's I think everyone's situation in this scenario, if you're resonating with this message, will be different. This person seems like a lot of hard work, though. They seem very defensive, which is a mark of emotional immaturity. So I don't know about you, but I do not want to have to gentle parent my partners or my friends or anyone around me. I don't think it's something I should have to do to anyone but my own children. Ten of Swords. While you might still be deciding whether you're going to lay this to rest, hold a funeral for it, even if you haven't quite made a decision there, I think that it's important to acknowledge that there is a part of you that is grieving because this was a betrayal to you. This person not choosing themselves, not choosing their soul's path, not choosing to walk alongside you, not honoring the connection that they said that they felt with you, the love that they said that they had with you, the life that they said they wanted not only with you, but for themselves. Them choosing not to honor those things is a betrayal of self and is a betrayal of your connection, of the truth that you so effortlessly embody, and they look to you wondering how on earth you do that. I'm going to pull an oracle card, and that's a pretty card. Balance. We'll just go with this one. Meet Varro Tiptoe Sky. She can balance perfectly with an inner precision and assurance. She leans one way and then the other, constantly adjusting and learning where her center lies. She understands the dichotomies, work and play, togetherness and solitude, inner reflection and outward expression, striving and letting go, accepting and changing, freedom and discipline, reason and intuition, spiritual expansion and grounding. They go on and on. Let Varro help you see what areas of your life are out of balance and what shifts you can make to return to a graceful equilibrium. This person, because of their indecision and their inability to choose a path, because from what I can see, it doesn't seem like they still have chosen. It seems like they're still in this energy exactly where you left them, of waiting for you to make a move for them. And you might have done this in the past. There might have been a time where you were this person for them. You might have felt bad for them. You might have felt responsible for them. You might have been so tired of going alone that you were willing to carry more than your fair share of the workload just so you didn't have to anymore. But where you find yourself now is out of balance because you are so far ahead, and this part of you, this hope, this seed of hope that you buried in this person is so far behind that there is a push and pull. There is a big piece of you residing within this person, and the further you get away from them, the more like a rubber band that energy is pulling you back. I'm sure that you, on some level of awareness, have felt this. You might have felt that, for every good day that you have where you don't really think about this person, there are 3 more on the other side of it where you are grieving. And I think it's because there are lots of things to grieve that you're putting off because you don't want to have to. Spirit, what is your advice for this collective dealing with this painful cycle of push and pull? I'm hearing prioritize your peace. Ace of Swords reversed. I'm seeing an image of someone being caught in a strong wind and their hair is kind of blowing all over the place. Yes, the tower. You are still trapped in this tower moment. There is some part of you that is stuck in the tower. You are reliving over and over the breakdown of this connection, the moment where you decided to take your power, what you could carry on your back, and walk away from this because this was no longer a stable place to be. If you're in the land of earthquakes, you have to understand that you have to pack light, or you have to set off in search of a land that isn't constantly quaking underneath of your feet. And I think that your deepest desire ultimately was for stability, but you were willing to stay on unsteady land with this person for a while to see if they too wanted to exit. But unfortunately, it seems that they are quite comfortable there. Even though they might be more miserable than they've ever been in their entire life, there is some level of comfort in the predictability of chaos. And you have chosen yourself. You've walked away from this chaos. This isn't a thing that you want to do anymore. But it has left you kind of at this crossroads with this lack of clear thought and thinking. Spirit, what is behind the lack of clear thought and thinking? I think that there was a time in this connection where you mirrored this person very heavily and they were a clear mirror to you on things that you needed to heal. But the further you get away from this person, there's some desire that you have inside of you that holds on to the idea that this person can still mirror you, that they still have something valuable to teach you or show you about yourself, even in the distance. Spirit, is that true? Threshold. Meet Sage. She is the queen of the threshold. In or out, out or in. As we were saying about the cat analogy earlier. She lingers right at the borderland between worlds. Glancing back, she takes stock of everything she's cherished, everything that has challenged and interested her, and everything that has weighed her down or limited her. She peeks her nose through the door and smells the fresh air of possibility with a swirl of exhilaration and a hint of fear. Perhaps she even tiptoes through a few times, only to return to her old world for a while. Find peace at the threshold, but don't surrender to the turn back now gargoyles that guard the gateway. When you are ready, you will stride boldly into your new world. I think that what this person is mirroring for you right now is your own indecision at whether you're going to walk through. I'm sure on some level you realize that where you have been invited to step into isn't a place that this person will be permitted until they go through the very important work that they have been avoided. And I think you know on a soul level that if they have been avoiding this work for so long, even when they had you as a lantern in their hand, as this guiding light, as this northern star, lighting their way through the darkest night, and they still weren't able to do it, how are they ever going to be able to do it without you? There's some abandonment that you probably feel, and they might feel also. They probably feel abandoned by you, and you feel like you had to abandon this person and choose yourself. But I think it's important to understand that everyone has free will. And free will is a tricky thing because sometimes the universe will intervene on your behalf. And sometimes the universe will slam doors in your face no matter how much you beg and scream and pound on them to reopen. They won't. But you do, in this instance, in one rare instance, you do have free will for now. If you linger here in the doorway for too long, spirit might come and push you through. But for now, you are able to honor your own free will. Take the time you need to process this decision that you are making, whether or not in good faith you can walk through that doorway without looking over your shoulder, bidding that person well and trusting that the universe will carry them on their journey in a way that is meaningful and appropriate for them and their level of consciousness in the ways that they have chosen to grow. I think it's easy to be judgmental about people who do not choose their highest path. And I used to judge people myself for people who were not living in alignment or doing things against what they knew was right. But it's actually incredibly hard and incredibly lonely and incredibly alienating to do the hard work of unlearning all the parts of yourself that your family or society or the world has told you are who you truly are, and realizing it was a lie. It requires you to attend thousands of funerals, to undergo hundreds of metamorphoses, to die so many times and be resurrected and relearn yourself, re-meet yourself. Look at yourself with new eyes and realize you're not that person anymore. I've actually experienced giant chunks of my memory sloughing off into the sea throughout this ascension journey. And it's very bewildering when I attempt to go back and remember them. Someone else will mention something and I realize I only have like a couple seconds of that memory and then it kind of cuts off. And there might be some part of you that worries that this will be one of those memories that disappears. There are probably moments that you shared with this person that were incredibly meaningful to you. There might have been moments of connection that you experienced with this person that embody perfectly what it is you're looking for in divine partnership with another person. But the problem is they were not able to offer that to you consistently, reliably. They were able to show you that in their very best moments, in their brightest of lights, they were able to embody that energy, which lets you know they were capable of it. But it doesn't mean that they'll choose it. It doesn't mean that they'll ever choose it. But it also doesn't mean that it's a reason to continue standing there and giving them opportunities too. Because ultimately, it's not a choice of choosing you or them. It's choosing themselves. And most people do not have the courage to do that. Most people are too concerned with the acceptance of the people around them, of fitting in, of being afraid to stand out, to move forward. If you're aligning with this message, you're the opposite of that. And welcome. I'm very proud of you. It was not an easy thing. The fact that you're still here listening to this shows me that you are doing the most important work of your life, and you're no stranger to suffering. And you show up every day and you choose it anyway. And there might be moments where you falter. There might be moments where you wish that you could turn back. There might be moments where you linger in the doorway. There might be doorways and thresholds that you pass through and then you immediately knock on the door, bang on the door, and ask to be put back through. You're not ready for this place. But the thing about thresholds and doorways is the keys to unlock them are only given to those who have proven that they're deserving of them. The fact that you're here shows that you have passed all the tests, you've done the studying, you've done the prerequisite, and you've shown to spirit that you deserve to be here. That person that you're holding on to has not. And you should grieve that. You should sit with that. You should hold space for that pain. And you can still hold out hope and hope that this person will one day also gain the key, gain the access to that doorway. But it's not a reason for you to pretend that you don't belong here just because they're not standing beside you. You belong here. You have what it takes. Even if you have to pass through that threshold alone, you're not going to be alone forever. There are people all around you that support you, even people you can't see. And while it might feel better to have someone standing beside you, know that if you walk long enough, someone finally will. Some other lonely, weary traveler on the path will see you and be so happy that they too no longer have to walk alone. But the longer you stand in this doorway, the longer your energy is being pulled in two directions. And there isn't any real consequence for this other than your own discomfort, other than your own pain that you feel at not realizing your potential and not grasping the opportunities that you have earned. You have earned it. You are deserving of it. You're capable of it, even if no one is standing beside you. And the proof of that is the fact that you got here without that person. They were nowhere to be seen. Maybe their spirit was guiding you on from the astrals, but on the earthen plane, you got here alone. And that alone has distinguished you, and that alone will carry you far. I love you.